Greetings, traveler, and welcome to the Jaunty Mantis, a podcast about tabletop role-playing games and the curious gamers who ask creative questions and also love them.
That's us.
Yeah, we do love them.
Who are you?
So much. Yeah, it's now in video because they can see that.
Oh, that's right. Now you never delivered on those shelfies you promised.
Yeah, I got
in episode 1.
Okay. Okay.
Here we are 70 something episodes later, and you haven't delivered on your shelfies, Jesse.
Yeah, but with our recording session, that's only like what, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So we'll break 100 this year.
I hope so. Yeah.
2025. Yeah.
We should. Yeah.
Huzzah.
Welcome to 2025, bitches.
Before we post the 100th episode, and finish welcoming everybody, we are at the end of another season.
Mm-hmm.
We did it. Air horns, another season in the can. Season 4, listener questions, the final episode.
That's right.
How do you feel about that, Matty?
I feel really good. I feel like we should announce the 5th season now.
Okay.
So that if people would like to continue to write in, they might have an opportunity to do so.
We do need at least one write-in for each season. And to be honest, Lee, I don't want to rely on Sam anymore. He's been doing a lot of work. Thank you, Sam. We appreciate your labor. I'm Jesse, by the way. I forgot to introduce myself. 70 episodes in. And yeah, so Sam's done enough, but if he has questions on this, it's fine. Each season going forward until we decide to change it is going to be a number of episodes around a single theme. And what we have identified as what I think started as a good-natured joke and then became a brainworm that I am now fully committed to. The theme for season 5 is dinosaurs.
Yeah. If you have ever heard us make a joke about dinosaurs over the last 70 something episodes, it has been culminating in this.
And now we're here.
Yeah. Well, not yet. I mean, we will be in season 5.
With your question in our email inbox at Jaunty Mantis at gmail.com. Jaunty Mantis, Gmail.
Are they supposed to just ask us general questions about dinosaurs? When we say dinosaurs is the theme, what does that mean exactly?
Well, we're going to talk about like the pitfalls and benefits of using dinosaurs. We're going to review a dinosaur-based RPG. There's like 2 of them. We are going to create something dinosaur-related, like a cool encounter. Our format's changing a little bit. Episodes are going to be 30 minutes long, give or take.
And our seasons are now going to be 10 instead of 12.
Yeah. So if you have a question about how to use dinosaurs in role-playing games, or you have a really cool story about using dinosaurs in role-playing games that you'd like to share with a broader internet audience, we would love to hear it.
Yeah. This seemed like a really stupid idea at first, but the more you think about it, dinosaurs are kind of an integral part of role-playing games.
Yeah.
You know, like they're in all monster books.
Isle of Dread, one of the like classic adventure modules, is all about going to an island with dinosaurs.
In Eberron, the halflings ride dinosaurs.
Second best halflings in a D20 product.
That's right. When you have a science fiction game and it involves some sort of like multiverse or time travel element, I guarantee you there's going to be some dinosaurs involved.
And I'm going to be a dinosaur race in that sci-fi game because lizard people are cool.
And lizard people are basically humanoid dinosaurs.
True. Exalted has dinosaurs that piss heroin.
Wow. I did not expect to hear that. Interesting. Okay.
I didn't expect to read it when I first did, but the beasts of resplendent pleasures, only the heroin pissing ones survived, but they used to like make all kinds of drug ones because demigods with unlimited power, time, and resources, I guess, get bored and get wild with dinosaurs like we will in season 5.
So if you are into dinosaur DNA, then go ahead and write in and be a part of season 5, dinosaurs and role-playing games.
If you know what Denver is, then write us a question.
Yes, this is not a joke and it's not a drill. We are actually going to do this. So
If
after you've
you
stopped laughing at us,
have an idea about how to use Genghis Rex as a villain in your RPGs, we'd love to hear about it because I'm sure there's a Powered by the Apocalypse Dino Saucers hack out there, but I just haven't
hell
found
yeah.
it yet.
Yeah. All right.
So that being said, listener questions is what we've been doing in this season 4. And here in our last episode, we have the last of the season of Sam questions.
Yes. Thank you,
And
Sam.
Sam asks, when can or should you introduce your group to a new game?
As soon as possible.
Yes, I'm going to say as the DM, when you get bored, doesn't matter. Just, okay, I'm bored of running this. Let's go.
Yeah.
Which is what I do to the detriment of my play groups. And I'm sorry, Matty. I'm very sorry.
Don't apologize to me. I'm still harboring a grudge after losing my Stormcast Eternal to
They
the Age
grow
of
on you,
Sigmar
the
game.
Stormcasts. They do. They do.
I would say introduce your game as quickly as possible because I'm assuming that you're starting with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Wait, there's other games?
Yeah. And you should play them and try them out because other games are fucking awesome. And I was thinking about this today, Jesse. Like, it isn't a 1-for-1 comparison, but and you're the perfect person to ask this because you went to another country. You and your wife went to China to teach English and got like a really cool lived in experience where you like lived in the country, traveled the country, got integrated with the culture, learned the language. And I have heard that when you learn a different language, it fundamentally like starts changing your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that playing different role-playing games has a similar effect to your gamer brain. Would you agree with that?
Yes. And here's okay. This is going to get really nerdy into the weeds.
Yes.
When you are learning another language, like if you learn a second or a third language, right? Like I was like a beginner in Mandarin and I'm like a very, very beginner in Spanish, right? But Mandarin was my better language. So now my kids are in a bilingual Spanish immersion program. So sometimes I try to speak a Spanish phrase at home and Chinese comes out, which is just like sometimes you try to roll a year 1 engine game by Modifius and you try to run that game and then you're calling for skill checks like it's D&D because and you should not be rolling the dice as often as you do in D&D or my default assumption of D&D in a year 0 engine because it will kill the PCs to roll that frequently. So yeah, I think that's true. I was going to ask you, do you have a positive transitioning games story to tell?
I mean, I've said it before. Dungeon World
Okay.
is a great transition game. I'm sorry to keep going back to that, but it's like if you started with D&D 5e and you want to expand your gamer brain, so to speak, Dungeon World you could is perfect. I don't think you could do better than Dungeon World. You'll probably tell me it's probably on your shelf behind you. But, Dungeon World, its love language is Dungeons and Dragons. So it's going to use all the things that you're already used to in terminology, but then it's going to give you different ways to do them that are still going to be inside your comfort zone.
Yeah, I just think for being a good player or thinking about running a good game, I actually cannot recommend a better game for fundamentals.
Right.
Like there's some books I would recommend about running a game, but they're not a game itself. As far as if you want a game to like build up your chops, I 100% agree with you about Dungeon World.
Hell yeah.
So cool. Well, we solved it. You're welcome, Sam.
Good job, Sam.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I probably am really guilty of trying to transition the group to other games because of my compulsive spending habits, as
Mhm.
seen on the shelf behind me. Uh, I don't always look for the signs, but I think there are signs that you can keep an eye out for that your group might be ready
Mhm.
to try something different.
Okay.
Would you
What are
agree?
those? Yeah, I do. I'm just curious to see what you think are like the typical signs.
Well, a lot of the things we talked about, I think, at the boredom at the table episode earlier this season, a lot of those signs are probably a good indicator. It might be time that you could pitch something new. Um, you're just people aren't engaged with the current campaign. Maybe they were at the start, but you're in that mid tier. That what is it? That Wizards internal research. You're about a level 10, and
7 to
like I'm
10.
ready to try something else. Um, I think another good time if you are the one, because in my experience as the game mother, uh,
Mhm.
like who's kind of leading the table, that pressure to change the game is going to probably come from you, and
Mhm.
you're probably going to have something you want to do that you're already excited about. And so when you reach a natural story break or like the conclusion of the campaign you're running, that's another time that you could come in with that pitch.
Yeah.
Um, I try to uh, I try to pitch like what my next idea is for a group that I'm playing in and just say, hey, I'm not saying we do this now. I'm having a blast playing this game, but this is what I'm thinking about we do next that I'd like to do. Is anybody interested in that? And if
Right.
they say yes, I have time to start working on it.
Yeah. What I would add to that is like the signs that I've noticed when it's time to try a new game is when you have people start to fall off of your regular schedule. And I mean, it doesn't have to be like a no call, no show kind of thing. But if generally speaking, you find yourselves playing video games when you hang out, when you're supposed to be playing role playing games and you're not doing your normal role playing game, or you have that person or a couple of people who just aren't, you know, attending with the same kind of cadence, that's usually a sign it's time to try something else. Like they're subtly or not subtly, what's the word I'm looking for? Not aggressively showing you that they've lost interest in your game.
They're being passive aggressive about it.
And there's that's the word. And I think, the perfect way to kind of build in some insurance about this in the future is to make no game open ended. So even when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, be like, "Hey guys, I really want to play D&D. I'm thinking we're going to start at level 5, we'll probably end at level 10. I'm thinking like X number of weeks, X number of sessions, and what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Would you be interested in that?" Smarter people than me have said like that's a great way to get people interested in a new game. It's just say like, hey, I'm gonna run like a 3 session 6 weeks exalted game. Let me know if you're interested and I'll tell you the details, because it's so much easier for people to like commit to something that they know has a beginning and an end, and they're not going to feel locked into it.
Yeah. There's a campaign that was kind of stitched out for Exalted that, like, if I were going to do that,
Yeah.
like if I was at one of the signs, like we've reached a natural story conclusion, or there's a break, or I don't know, like a regular GM's going to have a baby and going to be probably occupied for a little while, and like
Right.
someone's going to need to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
Um, like then I would probably come in and say, like, hey, I have this idea. I want to do Exalted Essence Edition. Do you know what the Bronze Age collapse is? Do you know
Yeah.
what the Bronze Age collapse is?
No, I have no idea.
Well, in the Bronze Age, all these complicated societies just collapsed.
Oh,
And it's like all up kind of around the same time. And the only thing that people really have as an idea is these writings, a lot of them for Egypt, about the sea people
oh, wow.
who were basically like, I think maybe Greek Vikings. Like and they just there was drought and economic collapse and like all these
Hmm.
things, and Egypt fought off the sea people, but other kingdoms in that area, they all collapsed kind of around the same time. And so in this Exalted campaign, you are the Bronze Age collapse.
Oh, weird. I thought you were going to say you're the sea people.
Yeah, you're the sea people. You're the
Oh,
Bronze Age collapse.
I
But
okay. I thought you
the
were okay.
reason you're migrating is this incredibly powerful court of fey nobles is coming from the unformed regions of creation and consuming all of static reality in front of their horde of crystalline hobgoblin soldiers. And so you're running from them, devouring city states as you go for resources to keep your fleet one step ahead. But you're also exalted.
I want to play in this game.
And I'm going to pre-make the characters and we'll do about 6 sessions.
Oh, pre-made's perfect. That's another great thing you can do, Sam, is if you want to transition to a different game, have pre-made characters available.
And if you're the DM of the system and you like a system, making characters is fun. Right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, have you ever had a player express that's not me? Sorry, I should clarify that because I know I do. Have you ever had a player who's not me express curiosity about a different game system?
This
Genre, I figure
rare.
yes, but game system,
This has been very, very rare. I have not encountered this a lot. I have usually encountered this when someone is like, what else can you do with D&D?
mm-hmm.
Is usually how this question gets raised. Most people don't know outside of like our world, nobody really knows that there are other role-playing games, and then you have to explain to them, you're like, well, there are multiple kinds of cars, but not everybody has a Pontiac Sunfire, for instance.
Yeah,
That's a specific kind of car, right? Well,
it carries a
D&D,
certain cultural cachet.
yes. And D&D is just a very specific role-playing game. It is the world's most popular role-playing game.
Wait, again, there's others?
Yes. So usually when
But you
people
can
ask,
hack D&D to play anything, man.
yeah, like Velvet Generation. Like when people usually inquire about trying other games, they're really saying, well, what else can we do with D&D?
Yeah.
And that can sometimes manifest itself as like how high in level are we going to go? How far is this going to go? You know, have you ever played a game all the way from 1 to 20? Those are the kinds of questions that get asked.
Well, we're trying, for God's sake. Yeah, I think too, it's really like when you hear that question, like you should probably like just realize that coming from the source, that question is actually, what else can we do with the role-playing game?
Yeah.
It's just if they don't know that there's other options out there whose mechanics are wildly different, then yeah, then they're going to ask about D&D. But I think if you can hear that as like, what else can a role-playing game do?
Right.
Then that's probably a good indication to change. Choosing a new game. So this, I think you could do this as a thought exercise. There's this empty space where people are like, I'm tired of this game. I'm ready to try something new, but I don't have any specific ideas. What would you recommend?
What would I recommend?
Yeah, I mean, like, how would you choose to match your group style?
I would try. This is very difficult to do if it's not the right time of year, but I would try to take advantage of holiday style games, thematic games. Halloween is perfect for this. Doing a horror style game using a different game system. Like, do not sleep on holidays as an opportunity to try out new role playing games.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to do something, let's say for some reason, well, I mean, Christmas is usually a really bad time for groups to get together, right? The holidays. Let's say some of your group can get together, but not the entire group. And you're like, hey, I'm going to do the Autobots Saved Christmas. We're going to do the Transformers role playing game. It's basically just going to be a one shot. The Decepticons have taken over the North Pole and they're holding Santa hostage, and you guys got to rescue him. Roll out, right?
Yeah.
That's the
pre-made characters.
Yes. So that's how I would do it.
Yeah, I did an Alien one shot at Halloween, and everybody that played was hooked. Like we're all hooked on this game now because
Right.
like it was such a fun experience. But the door was we're doing a one shot as a seasonal festivity. I'm actually have New Year's plans because New Year's is tomorrow at the date of recording
All
this,
right.
right? I have a babysitter. I'm going out with friends, and if I wasn't, I would have tried to lure people in because every year Renegade Game Studio publishes a one-shot New Year's Eve Vampire the Masquerade adventure,
Oh,
and I
wow.
really want to try one of those sometime.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Are there other ways to like gauge the interest of your group as far as a new game is concerned?
I
Like
mean,
you
you
have
can
so
always
many
run like
more
a
than I do.
genre survey with like a Google Forms, you know.
Okay. So like 5 questions, you know.
Yeah. Rank choice these, you know, these genres. Weird West, Weird World War, Weird Roman Legion. We're playing Cthulhu. God damn it. I just don't know when.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Yeah, that would work.
Cool. You also probably want to check in with about like what is the interest in mechanical difficulty?
Mm-hmm.
Like how willing are people to go to learn new mechanics? I think that's always nice. It's part of the grown-up conversations we always ask to say, you know, within this genre, there's a couple different games that I'm interested in trying out, but some of them are slightly more complex than others. For
Right.
example, like I love Shadowrun's setting, and if we're gonna put Shadowrun, you got to throw a lot of dice, and it can, you know, character creation can get kind of gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've never played Cyberpunk. I don't know.
This is
Cities Without
again
Number is super easy. Like,
this is again where pre-made characters are going to help you because if you're trying to introduce a new system and try to get people on board and you're trying to gauge mechanical complexity, if you're going to be playing something that seems a bit more complex than what your players are used to, let them know you got them covered with pre-made characters.
yeah, because especially if you're doing a one shot to try it out, you're not going to be able to get a whole session for a session zero for character creation.
Yeah.
There's just not time to do that for a one shot. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, I had another thought about that and I lost it.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. It'll come back at the most inopportune time.
They just blurt it out. It doesn't matter what I'm saying or you're saying. Just as soon as it
Oh,
enters your.
I got it. With those pre-made character sheets, if you're trying to do a smooth transition into a new game, if you've played it before and you don't like the default character sheet, don't sleep on looking around for a better character sheet for new players because a character sheet is a tool and they're not always designed as to be the most convenient tool to use.
Right.
So if you're prepping for people who never played a game, difficult mechanics or medium mechanics, just, you know, moderate mechanics, make sure that you have, if you're willing to look at a character sheet that helps make it easier.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see what else we got. Looking at our outline. Okay. Um, what do you think? Which is better, one shot or mini campaign? What's your preference?
My preference would be mini campaign, but I know that a one shot is more effective. There's so many stories of people like Jesse just said one, right? That like it just planned to be a one shot and then it turned into something so much more. You were just talking about Call of Cthulhu. That my understanding is that was like a 1 or 2 shot game and
Yeah.
you and that other, you know, the other players started expanding it into something potentially more.
Yeah, we had so much fun doing that one shot that it, you know, like now we're in the middle of our second investigation. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the holiday hiatus has made it impossible to schedule. But man, I really want to find out where this is going.
Do you think that doing multiple one shots would be better than doing a mini campaign?
I think it depends on the genre. Um, like, I mean, are you talking about multiple one shots in different games and systems? Or are you talking like Monster of the
Yeah.
Week?
No, different Oh, that's intriguing too. Okay. Well, let's start with the other one. Excuse me. Let's start with the other one in that you want to get the biggest bang for your buck. It's easier to get people to commit to a one shot. And you're like, I'm over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to do 3 1 shots. And I'm going to do this game, and this game. I want to try them
I
all out.
like the situations where I would do that would be like game number one is cities without number, game number two is worlds without number, and game number three is stars without number, or
Okay.
dust without number, the new one that's coming out this year. Or game one is Transformers, game two is Power Rangers, game three is G.I. Joe.
Okay. So keep
Like
them
I
in a
would
theme.
want them to all have the same mechanics, because if I was doing one shots week after week after week, the drag of people learning the new mechanics, if they don't have my exact brain, I feel
Mhm.
like it would be so much that I wouldn't want to do it to them unless we were saying same mechanics, different character, slightly different genre.
Okay. Well, what about the option that you brought up? What I actually think is pretty intriguing. Let's say you want to try out a different system, and then it's going to be Monster of the Week. So essentially, you are doing one shots, but you're doing them with the same group of characters in a different setup, a different scenario, and the games are not connected to each other narratively. I find that
Yeah.
to be intriguing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what we're doing with Cthulhu. Like we have the same characters and there's been some time, but we didn't fill in really what we did with that time between, other than the lightest sketch. And now we're just off to the next investigation.
Yeah. I
And
love
there's
that.
hints at elements that could tie them all together. But
It's not necessary.
yeah, it's not first and foremost. We'll probably unravel them as we go, because it's like
Because it's
I know
fun.
he listens now. The dude who runs this game is so cool. He's so good.
I know he listens, so let me massage him verbally. Hey, you know who you are.
I like
You
how
know
you
how
got closer
great
to the
you
mic.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey, you know how you make those props for that Call of Cthulhu game. You know about the apparatus and the function of the apparatus and the refractory period. Oh
I,
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I love playing in that game. So anyway, yeah, I think a monster of the week. I mean, you could literally play the game Monster of the Week,
Oh,
which
there's a
is
game called Monster of the Week.
there is. Guess what it's about?
Transformer.
No, Power Rangers. Come on, don't
Oh,
be silly.
sorry.
Uh, yeah, no, it's basically like Supernatural or X-Files, and it's powered by the Apocalypse game.
Perfect.
And you have a weird supernatural mystery about some monster every week, and then you solve it.
I bet that game would be really good with like casuals, especially if they're into true crime podcasts.
Oh yeah, they're like the murder shows.
Mm-hmm. If you've ever had some RPG curious people who fit that profile, maybe Monster of the Week is the perfect game for them.
Or make them play Vaesen, where they're members of a Swedish secret society in the 1800s that investigate trolls in the mountains.
Okay, yeah,
Doesn't that sound cool? Actually, though, I was kind of
it
like thinking
does.
sales, but yeah, it's a cool game. Got that for Christmas. It's on my shelf.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay. When should you not introduce a new game? Please tell me, because I'm really bad at reading social cues.
Yeah, yeah. You listen up, Jesse. You
Okay.
should not. No, okay. So I don't blame Jesse for introducing new games because usually when he does it, it is appropriate. Like just because I'm salty about my Stormcast character for his Age of Sigmar game. Yes, I mean the rest of them in our group, it just wasn't hitting on all cylinders with everybody. It wasn't even hitting on all cylinders with me until I figured the character out. So Jesse deciding to be like, "Hey, let's try riffs instead," was the right move. But obviously, I mean, the easy answer is everybody's having a good time and you're having fun. The last thing you want to do is boner kill the game by being like, "Hey, let's play riffs." You know?
Or Lady Boner Kill, the game.
I'm sorry. Exactly. Yes, I apologize. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, that seems like the easy answer, you
Because
know?
if there's a way to kill a man or a lady boner, it's to say, let's play Riffs.
Yes. Well, here's the other part of this whole conversation is that it is really ridiculously hard to get people interested and invested in a new game. That's kind of why Rifts exist, to be perfectly honest with you. Correct me if I'm wrong about this, but like that's part of the origin story of its creation is like these the what those Midwest gaming conventions that he was going to,
It was a
and he
gaming center.
gaming
Yeah.
center, and he noticed that you know, every time a new game came out, people were like very hesitant to like get into it because they were sticking with D&D basically, you know, or whatever it was they were already playing. Let's just be fair. So that's kind of why he created Rifts the way he did, because he was like, hey, everything fits in here, you know, like,
And it oddly enough, it really does.
yeah, in a weird, fucked up Christmas ornament kind of way. But yes.
Yeah. And then the table for horseback riding has the prices for horses.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you need to keep that in mind. It is really difficult to get people into new games and new settings and new rule systems.
I'm really, it's still astonishing to me, even after all my years in the hobby, that like people are not willing or able to make pretending to be another person for 3 to 4 hours a regular weekly occurrence, like with all their other responsibilities. Why they don't rank that as the primary reason they're alive above their children, their job, their community, their church, like I just don't get it.
Yeah, it is a mystery for the ages. You have introduced so many different games to us and our group. What have you found is the most successful way to do that? You know, like you have introduced like one shots. You've done Morkborg. You've done what was the one that I missed with it? It's all done through the phone.
Oh, Alice is missing.
Alice is missing. You
That was
know.
actually Kurt.
Oh, Kurt introduced that.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So what do you like with as many games that have come across our table and our groups? Like, what have you found to be the most successful way to integrate or introduce?
I think like having a good elevator pitch and some time to talk and think about it before you sit down with books, if you're going to do characters, helps.
Yeah.
Having a session zero, if you're going to do characters, that isn't necessarily the story of the characters, but that's just there to help people navigate the mechanics of making a character in a new system. Because it's one of the things that like my wife argues or like calls me out on all the time. Because I'm like, yeah, we'll just do character creation at the table. It only takes like 20 minutes. And yeah, for me, who
Right.
lives and breathes these fucking things, yes, it only takes 20 minutes. But for other people, it does not just take 20 minutes because they don't have the character creation chapter, the structure of character creation chapters of role-playing games like burned into their brains. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus that D&D 5e character that you have is very safe and comfortable. You
Mhm.
know, it's like people like you and me love to create new characters, and sometimes we forget that other nerds who also enjoy our hobby, they found the character or the character creation concepts or processes or mechanics that they love, and it's like, but I like that. I want to hold on to that. Like, you know, they're less likely to want to just jump into a new character creation process.
I think it's really hard to compete with D&D Beyond if they've
Yeah.
been playing 5e and using that to
Oh,
be like, so I know
totally.
you could just click a couple buttons and do like a default build and then pick a little picture and you were done. But for this one, I'm going to need you to write skill percentages for probably 20 different skills in a little bubble after you write them out by hand. This should be fun to you. Why is it not?
Yeah. Is it easier to stay in genre? Like if you were trying to do a different system, you know, like I'm trying to think like if I had a group of 5e players and I was like, hey, I want to do the Cypher system, should I just do a Cypher system fantasy game?
Um,
Or
I
should I do
think
like a science fiction game because that's going to be different and has more appeal?
I would say and this is a guideline, not a rule. But what I would recommend is if you're keeping within the same genre where you know they already know the tropes, you can have them do character creation and stay within the same genre. If you're switching genres, maybe you want to do pre-mades and have a mini campaign to introduce the setting. If you wanted to get really like clever about it, you could have a mini campaign that's events set up what is your plan for the major campaign, like the
Okay.
idiots who fucked it up and
Yeah.
set this problem in motion or something like that. And then after they play their pre-mades through that mini campaign to see if they like it, if they like it, you say, okay, now we're going to make characters for this and do that. I'm kind of doing something similar with riffs,
Okay.
but without the pre-cons. But like when I do riffs again and switch to Savage Worlds, which I will, like I'm going to pre-make characters, but they're probably going to be a version of the actual characters people made before.
Okay.
Like so Panthro, Seabass, Dudikoff might ride again.
Yeah.
With
But
the burn dice.
You're doing this for different reasons though. Like, or I should say additional reasons.
But I got
There's
the
more
idea
to
for this
this.
pitch from thinking about it like that.
Like you are not just, so you are changing systems, but staying in the same universe.
Yeah.
And you have double the problem now because the group of players that you've run riffs for kind of got used to riffs. Not so much that they're like, no, we love riffs. We got to stay with this system and this system alone. Right. But now you have a double problem because now you have to introduce another system, but keep it in the riff setting that they're already kind of sort of used to. And so what you're very smartly doing is you're going to create fabricated versions of existing characters to help show that you are still in a safe space despite the fact that we are changing systems.
Yeah, and also that new system is Savage Worlds, which is just so
a lot easier than riffs.
so much easier to reference where a rule is. I don't.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to say once you actually wrap your head around it and figure out like the layout of where everything was, riffs is not actually hard.
Yeah, it's not. It's just, like we keep saying this over and over again, it's just a really poorly written it's a really poorly written and laid out book. I'm sorry. It is.
I was going to say laid out. I was going to be generous.
I'm sorry. It is like it drastically needs another update to just like put things in a more like critically clear, well organized way. It's a great game. It's not super complicated. It's pretty simple and straightforward. The systems are not difficult to understand. It just looks like a fucking bowl of spaghetti when you like try to put everything together.
So to recap,
sorry.
When you feel your group is ready to play riffs, that's the time to play riffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, seriously though, to recap, I think the main things we've kind of been hitting on, like timing is crucial. Like look for, either a narrative break in your story, or waning interest in the game. And I think you probably want to pay attention. If you're GMing well, you probably are paying attention. Is it people are bored with the mechanics or people are bored with the story? Either way, a new game can be a fix. But if they're bored with the mechanics, you can get more adventurous with the mechanics of the system you pitch. And if they're bored with the story, you can do a genre switch.
Right. Yeah. And also remember to forgive yourself and not take it too personally. If you're running a game and they're not into the story, it kind of sucks to come to that realization. But it isn't like an indictment of who you are and your ability to tell a story. It's just like not everything works for everybody. So,
and talk about it with a group, like have an adult conversation.
An adult conversation.
Communication is free.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to have to give this some thought. What a new concept to the Jaunty Mantis.
But I don't know what you would have to talk about because it's not like there's other games besides D&D.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I mean, D&D is where the Forgotten Realms is, and that's what Chris loves. So, Chris, I'm
I
sorry
hadn't
that one was a
realized that.
stretch. We just weren't going to talk about Forgotten Realms this episode. So
Sorry, Chris.
I do have I want to talk about new game story actually, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Sam reached out to me at work the other day, and he said, "Hey, we did a session 0 for my new finally in person D&D group, and all the things they were talking about kind of made me think it was kind of similar to Exalted. Do you have any Exalted setting books you would recommend to help me understand this?" I'm just like, oh, my friend.
Oh, you sweet summer
You've
child.
come to the right place. Here, walk over to my cube. Let me airdrop them to you immediately. So yeah, so I can maybe convince Sam to play Exalted someday.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You just opened the hell mouth, Sam. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. There's no shutting this one. Even if the principal turns into, or the mayor turns into a giant snake,
Yep.
they won't show that episode because of Columbine. All right. So anyway.
Wow, this episode went places.
On a high note. I can't hit a high note. I'm a natural bass. So, there we go.
Okay.
All right. Get out there and play some fucking games or some shit.
Yeah. Keep playing those fucking role-playing games or some shit.
Play them forever.
Yeah. Don't ever play anything else. Only play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Set fire to your board games and chant invocations to the dark gods of Morkborg.
That's right.
But you do have to burn your Morkborg book when your campaign ends. It says so in the book.
Oh.
In Pirate Borg, you have to throw it into the sea.
Oh, that's a great way to sell more books.
I know.